خاشعون. Right? Can I ask a question? So yes, it is. How many of us get distracted in salah? One hand? Definitely I would say two hands, right? So my question to you is, the best man in the history of mankind, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you love him, say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. One time he was praying Dhuhr or Asr according to Bukhari, and after 2 rak'ah, he did tasleem. And after he did that, one of the Sahaba, by the name of Reda-Bedeir, he knew with him, he said, Prophet of Allah, was the salah shortened? Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala command you instead of 4 to pray 2? Or did you forget? And the Prophet said, I prayed 4. Reda-Bedeir said, no, you prayed 2. The Prophet said, look, I prayed 4. Reda-Bedeir said, no, you prayed 2. And the Prophet turned to Abu Bakr and Umar, he said, how many rak'ahs did I pray? They said, 2, Prophet of Allah. So after this conversation, the Prophet stood up and he continued for another 2 rak'ah, and that was the beginning of sujood al-sahw. When you forget, you have to make 2 sajda before you finish your salah. So the best man ever got distracted. Like, one time he was given, like a carpet, or like a prayer mat, as we say now, as a gift. But it has some drones. So when the Prophet ﷺ started praying, what happened? They say, al-fikr yatba' al-nadar. Whatever you look, you're going to think. So if it's something plain like this, alhamdulillah, you have nothing to think about except what you're saying. So when the Prophet ﷺ looked at the drones, he got distracted. So after he finished, he took it away. He said, Aisha, take this away. So she tore it into pieces and she put it on the bed. So basically, the reason we say astaghfirullah is that we haven't prayed the way it should be. For some time, maybe we thought about something. Right? Okay. That's one thing. The other thing, I just want to reflect on some of the ayat that we recited. The ayat that we recited is starting from ayat 16 in surah number 50, surah Qaf. And the main theme I want to share with you is that, can we repeat that statement? We are on camera 24/7. Can you say that?
We're on camera 27.
Just to reflect on that, I wanted to think about this. Whether you like it or you like it, as a Muslim, you are on camera 24/7. And I was teaching a class, and the word taqwa came. So I wanted to explain the meaning of taqwa. There are so many traditional definitions of taqwa. Okay? And تَجْعَلَ بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ النَّارِ وِقَايَةً, to make a barrier between you and hellfire. Okay? Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said, if you're walking on a path that's full of thorns, what do? You collect your garment. Why? Because you don't want to be pricked by these thorns. So you make again a barrier between you and being again pricked by something that will hurt you. Right? Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu gave a very good definition. He said 4 statements. He said, Al-khawfu min al-jaleel is to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most glorified. Wal-amalu bit-tanzeel, it's to act upon the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wal-rida bil-qaleel, to be content with whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. Wal-isti'dadu li-yawm al-raheel, and to get ready for the day you're going to be leaving this world. That's also taqwa, right? At-taqwa an yaraka Allahu haythu yurid, wa alla yaraka haythu la yurid. It's again, another definition is, it is for Allah to see you wherever He wants you. Allah wants to see you in the masjid, but not in the pub. Okay? Allah wants you to be doing remembrance of Allah, not backbiting people. Okay? They also said, taqwa means that Allah to be worshipped with no partners. أن يعبد فلا يشرك به وأن يطاع فلا يعصى وأن يذكر فلا ينسى. It's also to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and stay away from disobedience. It's to keep remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not to forget about Him. But I just wanted to explain taqwa, to the people in a way that they can relate to in our contemporary life. So I asked the question, I said, do you have kids between the age of 3 to 7? Yes. If you were to leave them unwatched for like a few hours, like you're busy doing something, and your wife said, just take care of the kids. Like, yeah, no problem. When she steps out of the house, one of them starts crying. You know, the little one. And you don't know why he's crying. Does he want to change the diaper? Is he hungry? Is he angry? We don't know that troubleshooting. Only mothers, you know, they can do that job, right? So you do what you can, and then you get to a point where you don't, you know what, let them just, have fun. If you leave them for a few hours, what happens in the house? It turns into? Exactly, a mess, right? They will, everything in the kitchen will just come out, everything in the bedroom, will come out. If you have a study room, all your books will be all over, right? And then when you grab them, say, okay, if there are 2 or 3, it's like, come here. Who did this? They stand in front of you and say, not me. Second one will say, I didn't do anything. Third one will say, I don't know. And you're sure that they did this, right? And the same thing happened with my kids when they were little. So every time we just leave them, we come back, the house is in a mess. And you bring the 3 of them. Who did this? Not me, not me, not me. And I said that. Who did it then? If none of you. Did anybody come in the house while I'm not here? No. Okay. So one time I said, I'm going to trick them. So one time when I came back, same thing happened. I brought the 3. The 3 of them denied. Then I said, I know who did it. And they're like, what? I said, I know who did it. Then the boy turned to his 2 sisters and said, did you tell him anything? No. Did you tell him anything? No. We're fine. How did you know? I said, I had cameras everywhere. Once I said that, the 3 faces turned pale. And they were saying, what do you mean? I said, yeah, we're going to watch the movie now. I'm going to see the stars turning my house into a mess every time I go out. And then my son said, can I say something? I said, go ahead. He said, you know Surah Yusuf? I said, yes, my PhD's in Surah Yusuf. He said, you know when there was a dialogue between Yusuf alayhi salam and his father Yaqub? I said, I do. He said, I just want to remind you with an ayah. I said, go ahead, please. He said, when Yusuf alayhi salam shared the dream, what did his father say to him? He said to him, قال يا بني لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيدوا لك كيدا. He said to him, O Yusuf, do not share your dream with your brothers because lest they should may plot something evil against you. He said, continue that. I want the last part of this ayah. I said, إن الشيطان للإنسان عدو مبين. Indeed, shaitan is a clear enemy to man. He said, that's the ayah. Remember when you explained that to us? He said, Yaqub alayhi salam was gracious enough to blame shaitan. Why don't you blame shaitan? And keep a good relationship with your kids. I'm like, that makes sense. But you know what? But I know the shaitan who did this. He said, but it could be shaitan trying to play games with us, I said, yeah, but I know the shaitan who did this. He said, how? I said, I'm going to show you now. There were cameras everywhere. They said, you know what? There's no use to deny. Then each one of them said, the eldest one said, I'm the one who specialized in the bedroom. And the little one said, I'm the one who specialized in the kitchen. He said, I'm specialized in your study room. Why did they acknowledge? Why did they admit? Because they didn't watch. They didn't want to be watched. They didn't want to see the camera. There were no cameras. I was just trying to trick them. But I just wanted them to think, if there was a camera and you were on camera all the time, would you be watching what you're doing? Let's go back to the ayah. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ وَنَعْلَمُ مَا تُوَسْوِسُ بِهِ نَفْسُهُ. Allah said, we have created man and we know what goes on in his mind. Now you could be looking at me, but you're thinking about breakfast. You could be thinking about the car that you need to put some fuel. You need to think about the list that your wife gave you, and you're going to be in trouble if you're not, if you didn't buy those groceries before you go home. You might not be even allowed in. You have to come back and seek asylum in the masjid. We'll offer you breakfast, inshallah. Right? So Allah said, Allah knows what's in your mind right now and all the time. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. And we're closer to Him than the jugular vein. This is called حبل الوريد. So is Allah as close as this to me? Yes. So is Allah here now with me? Can I ask this question?
Yes.
Is Allah with each one of us now?
No.
Yes and no?
No.
No, I'm answering now. I'm saying yes and no. How can the answer be yes and no? We don't think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in human terms or in physical terms. So when we say Allah is everywhere, yes, but through His knowledge. Because Allah Himself told us, if you read in Surah number 20 and number 5, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الرحمن على العرش استوى. Ar-Rahman, one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's on the throne. Right? And then some people say, how can you say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in a place? Who said that? Is it me? Is it the Prophet ﷺ? Or is it Allah? Allah. This is why Imam Malik made a very nice comment on that. He said, Al-istiwa'u ma'loom. If Allah said Allah is on the throne, then that's it. Because Allah is the one who told us this. وَالْكَيْفُ مَجْهُولٌ. How? We don't know. The Prophet never asked. The Sahaba never asked. وَالْإِيمَانُ بِهِ وَاجِبٌ. To believe in that, it's a duty, it's obligatory on you. Because Allah said that. وَالسُّؤَالُ عَنْهُ بِدْعَةٌ. If you were to ask how, it's an innovation. Because what difference will it make to you? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the Prophet ﷺ taught us, we should think of His names and attributes. We shouldn't think about Him. Because if you do this, this is what the philosophers do. What happened to them? They went astray. They think about Allah Himself. You cannot comprehend. Because لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is none like unto Him. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah said, وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. So Allah is closer to us. How? Wait for the next ayah. It will explain it. You don't have to go into details and make up your own fatwa. Because the next ayah said, إِذْ يَتَلَقَّى الْمُتَلَقِّيَانِ عَنِ الْيَمِينِ وَعَنِ الشِّمَالِ قَعِيدٌ. Allah said, Allah assigns you two angels. One on the right hand side and one on the left hand side. And they keep a record of everything and they report to Allah. So does Allah know everything that you're doing? Yes. Does He have to come subhanahu wa ta'ala and be with each one of us physically? No. He said, no need. SubhanAllah, you have a CEO of a company, and to Allah belongs the best example. Does He go through the company to watch everyone? No. There are directors, there are managers, there are assistant managers, there are like supervisors, there are like foremen, and then it comes to the workers at the end. Is that clear? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, He has assigned each and every one of us an angel on the right hand side and an angel on the left hand side. Do you want to know the good news? Nobody's interested. I don't know what happened. You want to know the good news? Yeah. Okay. I love to interact with people. I don't like to talk at them, okay? The good news is, for every ummah, if they think about something bad, amazingly, it will be recorded as a bad deed. That's for every ummah before the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Okay? And if they do something good, it will be written down as something good, subhanAllah. But for this ummah, if you think about something good and you don't do it, you get a hasanah, you get a reward for that. If you do it, it's multiplied 10 times right away, 100 times, 700 times, countless times, out of the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What about if I think about something bad? No, just thinking. It's not even a sin. That's only for the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Back in the days, no. Okay? So if you think about something bad, as long as you don't say it or do it, it's not recorded. Yet, but Allah said something at the end of Surah Al-Baqarah. He said, وَإِن تُبْدُوا مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَوْ تُخْفُوا يُحَاسِبُكُمْ بِهِ اللَّهِ. when this ayah was revealed, the Sahaba came on their knees crying. They said, Prophet of Allah, who can endure this? This is too much. Sometimes we think of evil things. And then the Prophet said, would you like to react like the people of the book before you? They said, who? The Jews and the Christians? He said, yes. Who else? He said, what do you mean? He said, they said, سَمِعْنَا وَعَصَيْنَا. They reacted by saying, we listen and disobey. He said, Prophet of Allah, what should we say? He said, بَلْ قُولُوا سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا. Say we listen and obey. And subhanAllah, the revelation that came right after that with the words of the Sahaba, وَقَالُوا سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا غُفْرَانَكَ رَبَّنَا. Then in reaction to this, they said, we listen and obey Allah. Allah said, and they said, we listen and obey, غُفْرَانَكَ رَبَّنَا وَإِلَيْكَ الْمَصِيرُ. Oh Allah, forgive us, and to you is our return. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. Allah abrogated the first ayah by saying, listen, if you think about something evil, it will not be held against you, as long as you didn't say it or you didn't do it. That's only for the Ummah of Muhammad. So I didn't share the good news still. What's the good news? The good news is, even if you did commit a mistake or a sin, it will be written as one. Would it be written right away? No. They said, إِذْ يَتَلَقَّى الْمُتَلَقِّيَانِ عَنِ الْيَمِينِ وَعَنِ الشِّمَالِ قَعِيدٌ. So the one on the right hand side, once you do a good deed, it's written down right away, multiplied many times. But when you do something wrong, this one asks the permission of this one. He said, أَأَكْتُبُهَا? The Prophet said, he would say to him, انتظر لعله يتوب حضر عشية. He would say, wait, he might ask Allah for forgiveness. And that ashiyah is like about 6 hours. If you go back within that time limit and say, astaghfirullah, then it's not going to be written. Allahu Akbar. Look at the bounty of Allah for this ummah. But how should we say astaghfirullah? Is it the way we say subhanallah after the salah? Alhamdulillah, finished. Where's the breakfast, man? Right? At one time I was like praying next to a brother, and after we finished the salah, he went like this. In mashallah, in almost like 1 minute, he finished all his khitam al-salah. So I turned around to him, just wanted to share something with him, and I said, Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Am I doing something wrong? Wallahi, I was smiling. I was not even frowning. But you know how people sometimes they react when they know that you're going to give them a piece of advice. And I was trying to be as gentle as possible. I said, MashaAllah, you were doing tasbih? He said, yes. I said, MashaAllah. What is the meaning of Subhanallah? And he said, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, ya akhi. Ya falsafa. I'm just saying Subhanallah. I said, yes, akhi. But what does it mean? He said, I don't know. Do you know? I said, yes, my teacher taught me. It means Allah is far from imperfection. Allah is perfect in all of His names, acts, and attributes. We are imperfect. We sleep because we're tired. Allah la ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa la nawm. Allah never feels tired. Allah never sleeps. We feel hungry, so we eat. We need a child to carry our name after we die, but Allah is al-Baqi. Allah will never die. So Allah is perfect in everything, but we are not. So when you say Subhanallah, have that feeling, reflect, because wallahi, you will never feel the sweetness of dhikr until you understand what you're saying. Am I right or right? Do you agree with me or agree? Yeah. So, if you are saying something you don't understand, it's like Chinese to you. Unless you know Chinese, okay? So what I'm trying to say here is, the only way we can enjoy the remembrance of Allah is when we understand what you're saying. And then he said, okay. The reason I'm saying this is because when we say astaghfirullah, we have to mean it. We have to feel it. Otherwise, it's lip service. Ali radiallahu anh passed by a man, and that man was doing like this. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. He said, Akhi, inna istighfaraka hada fi hajatin ila istighfar. The way you're saying astaghfirullah needs you to ask Allah to forgive you. Because are you angry? It's like astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. What is this, Akhi? You should think about a sin when you say astaghfirullah, Ya Allah, I want you to forgive me. One like this is better than 1,000 astaghfirullah without just stopping to think what you're saying. And do you know what happens when you say astaghfirullah? Not the lip service way. No, the way you feel it and the way you mean it. Allahu Akbar. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah, when the person says, astaghfirullah, Ya Allah, I seek your forgiveness, Allah talks to the angels. And He would say to them, علم عبدي أن له ربا يؤاخذ بالذنب أشهدكم أني قد غفرت له. My slave, my servant, knows that he or she has a master who will hold him or her accountable for what they're doing, and they're asking me now to forgive them. Bear witness, my angels, I have forgiven him or her. Allahu Akbar. As simple as that? Yes. I was in a conference, and a lady was mad at me. After we finished the conference, there were 4 speakers, but she pointed all her questions to me. First question to Dr. Bedeir. Second question to Dr. Bedeir. I was embarrassed. And they were tough questions. And they were on the spot. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, granted me the patience and the knowledge to answer all of her questions. And at the end, I felt she was angry. And I said, you've asked me 10 questions. Did I answer your questions? She said, yes. I said, I have only one simple question for you. She said, what? I said, why are you struggling to submit to Allah? What stops you from accepting Islam? She said, nothing. Is it that easy? Can I just be a Muslim right now? I said, yes. She said, before I ask you how, do you know why I hate you? I said, no. She said, because you converted my son last year. He became a Muslim. I said, did he become a good person? Did he become a better person or a worse person? She said, that's the problem. He became a better person. I said, look, so what's wrong? She said, I didn't want him to change his faith. I said, what if you were wrong? She said, I feel inside I'm wrong. I said, I can see through your questions. Did I answer all of your questions? She said, yes. I said, why are you struggling to submit? Say it. She said, what? I said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. And she said, and she became a Muslim. It's amazing. Some people, they get stuck with what they know. This is why the kuffar at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they would say to him, we've been doing this for 200 years. Our parents have been doing this. Then Allah said, what if your parents were wrong? Would you follow them blindly? That's not logic. Right? So going back, one of the blessings for this ummah is that if you want to make tawbah, what do you need to do? Just turn back to Allah. Shedding some tears, will not allow hellfire to touch your eyes on the day of judgment. عينان لا تمسهما النار. عين بكت من خشية الله وعين باتت تحرس في سبيل الله. There are 2 types of eyes that will not be touched by fire. First one are eyes that shed tears because of the fear of Allah. And it's also one of the 7 people the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. سبعة يظلهم الله في ظله يوم لا ظل إلا ظله. 7 categories of people. It's not just like the number 7 to mean like anyone who would have these qualities, this will be applicable to him. He said, one of those 7 categories of people who will be under the shade of Allah on the day of judgment, when there will be no shade except the shade of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is وَرَجُلٌ ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ خَالِيًا فَفَاضَتْ عَيْنَهُ. Somebody will be sitting in his room and he will dim the light and he will start remembering his sins and he will start remembering standing in front of Allah. So he will say, Ya Allah, I've committed so many sins. Please forgive me. And then he will shed some tears. He said, these eyes will not be touched by hellfire. Amazing. You just say astaghfirullah. You say, Ya Allah, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do this again. That's it. Do you know, if somebody wants to make tawbah at the time of Musa alayhi salam, it was very tough. You read it in the Quran, but you never stop at it. Do you know that if they wanted to make tawbah at the time of Musa alayhi salam, they had to be killed? Yeah. And who's going to kill them? They'll kill each other. فَتُوبُوا إِلَى بَارِئِكُمْ فَاقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. We read this in Surah Al-Baqarah. If you want to make tawbah, they used to stand up in 2 lines and kill each other. And then Allah will bring them back to life. Now you can make tawbah. Can you imagine this? You have to go through death so that Allah will accept your tawbah. One time in one of my classes at Al-Azhar, I told the students, I said, we're going to make tawbah, inshallah, the Musa way today, inshallah. They said, what do you mean? What do you mean? I said, well, I'm not going to kill you. I don't have a gun. I'm not going to ask you to line up and kill each other. I'll do it even like in a very, easier way. We'll do like half of it. We'll just cut one of your fingers. And everybody was like, we'll see you next time, inshallah. And they left the class. I said, hold on, I'm just kidding. Sit down. Subhanallah. Just compare how it is easy for this ummah. So Allah said, ما يلفظ من قول. After that, after he said, إذ يتلقى المتلقيان عن اليمين وعن الشمال قعيد. You're assigned to, as we said, Allah said, ما يلفظ من قول. This is how Allah is closer to you than the jugular vein. Whatever Allah said, qawl, like an utterance. Sometimes it's uff. When Allah said, وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا uff. When you deal with your parents, do not even show the least of frustration. Because uff is not a word, by the way. When you say, when your mother say, can you take the garbage with you, honey? And you say, I'm the man, how can I do this? This is manliness. To take the garbage is manliness. It's not something the opposite. Right? It's not going to take away your manliness. In fact, this is the real manliness. Right? So Allah said, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ. Whatever an utterance that comes out of your mouth, إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. So nothing goes to waste. Anything you say, anything you do, a record is kept with that. And on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in Surah 18, ayah number 49, وَوُضِعَ الْكِتَابِ. On the day of judgment, that record will be given to you. That's the story of your life. That's your movie. You're the star. فَتَرَى الْمُجْرِمِينَ مُشْفِقِينَ مِمَّا فِيهِ. Allah didn't say al-mudhnibin, the sinners, those who commit sin. Allah called them criminals. فَتَرَى الْمُجْرِمِينَ مُشْفِقِينَ. الشَّفَقَةِ هي غاية الخوف. It's the top level of fear. They're scared to death because of what they will find in that record. Because they know what's in there. وَيَقُولُونَ يَا وَيْلَتَنَا مَا لِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ لَا يُغَادِرُ صَغِيرًا. They will say, Wail for us. Wail is a spot in Jahannam, out of which Jahannam itself seeks refuge with Allah because of the torture in that spot. How come that this record is not leaving even a minor sin? That day, when I was walking in the street, and I looked down upon someone, he's like, he's not my level. He's not driving the same car I'm driving. He's not my caste. He's not my social class. And subhanAllah, that person that you look down upon was better than thousands of you and me. Because sometimes we judge by appearance. Right? This is why Aisha, I was sitting with the Prophet ﷺ one day, and Safiya's name was mentioned. And Safiya was more beautiful than Aisha. So Aisha felt jealous. So she said, حَسْبُكَ مِنْهَا أَنَّهَا. And she did like this. She's like, it's enough that she is. And she did like this. She didn't say anything. What does that mean? She's short. Did she say? No, she did. But she did. Because this is called body language. It's a language. As long as you got the, like when I say, this guy is, why do you smile? Did I give you the message by saying this? It's like international language. In Bengali, in Indo-Pak, in Arabs, everybody knows what does that mean. Right? So if you do something like this and you're talking about someone, you backbited him. So when she did this, the Prophet's face turned red. That means he's angry. He never got angry for himself, but he will always feel angry when Allah is disobeyed, when the deen of Allah is violated. He said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ, by the one in whose hand is my soul, لَقَدْ قُلْتِ كَلِمَةً لَوْ مُزِجَتْ بِمَاءِ الْبَحْرِ لَغَيَّرَتْ. Aisha, you uttered a word now. She didn't say anything, but like I'm using the words of the Prophet. Said, you said something now. You know, that word that you said, if it were to be mingled with the water of the ocean, it would spoil it. SubhanAllah. Look at me and you every day. What do we do when somebody's mentioned? So it's very serious. مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. Let me just conclude. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَجَاءَتْ سَكْرَةُ الْمَوْتِ بِالْحَقِّ. Of course, there will come a day, and nobody is going to miss that day, when the agonies of death will come, and you can't escape that. Even doctors who treat people, right? When that time comes, they cannot stop it. Can a doctor stop death when it comes? No. Allah said, وَجَاءَتْ سَكْرَةُ الْمَوْتِ بِالْحَقِّ. Haqq means the truth. Because death is something inescapable. It's the truth. We all know. Where are our grandparents? As a sign, they passed away. ذَلِكَ مَا كُنْتَ مِنْهُ تَحِيدٌ. Meaning, when you feel that death is approaching you, what do? Man, bring me the doctor. Bring me the medication. Why? I don't want to die. ذَلِكَ مَا كُنْتَ مِنْهُ تَحِيدٌ. You try to find a way out when you feel that death is coming. That's it. And when somebody dies, that's his qiyam. He's not going to come back. Right? Allah moved to the next stage. He said, وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ. After some time, you're going to visit the grave, right? أَلْهَاكُمُ التَّكَاثُرُ. You've been busy, collecting so many things in this dunya, and you forgot that you're going to the grave, and you're not going to take any of that with you to the grave except your good deeds. Allah said, حَتَّى زُرْتُمُ الْمَقَابِرِ. Allah didn't say, حَتَّى أَقَمْتُمْ فِي الْمَقَابِرِ, until you stay, in graves. No, He said, visit. It could be 200 years, it could be 2,000 years, it could be whatever number Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, right? But Allah said, it's like a visit. I'm coming now, staying with you for like half an hour, I'm leaving. I have a flight, at noon. I'm just visiting. So that's going to be, you'll stay in the grave. But then after that, Allah said, وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ. So, when the trumpet will be blown, وَجَاءَتْ كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَعَهَا سَائِقٌ وَشَهِيدٌ. Each and every one of us will come on that day, and the Quran. They said the Quran, in the dunya, you are one of two. Either you put it in front of you, read it, understand it, act upon it, teach others, seek cure from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the Quran. These are the 5 degrees. Right? Then it will bring light and it will guide you. Or you put it behind you, right? It will come on the day of judgment and will be driving you to hellfire. Sa'iq. So it could be light that will take you to Jannah, or it could be something pushing you to go to hellfire. Or shaheed. You have your record. You have your record. And I'm going to stop at the next ayah, but I'm going to end up with a cliffhanger as usual. Those who will stay, inshallah, beyond, you're going to know the end of the story. Those who will go home, I'm sorry, you have to wait until I see you next year, inshallah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that record will be given to you. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لَقَدْ كُنْتَ فِي غَفْلَةٍ مِّنْ هَذَا. You were heedless of that moment. You did not prepare for it. فَكَشَفْنَا عَنْكَ غِطَاءَكَ. In the dunya, we have so many things now that are blurring our vision, that are blocking our sight so we don't see beyond death. Let's talk about death. People say, change the topic here. Why do you want to be depressing us this morning? Let's talk about life, man. Right? But sometimes, as we talk about Jannah, we need to talk about hellfire. We talk about life, we talk about death. Right? And the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Kayyis man dana nafsahu wa amila lima ba'da al-maut. A wise person is the person who will always hold him accountable, and he will work hard for what's beyond death. Sometimes when we talk about death, just death to us is like somebody who passed away, we put him in the grave. But do we even talk what happens in the grave? What happens on the day of resurrection? What happens on the day when we're going to be standing in front of Allah? Yawm al-Qiyamah. Qiyamah means, Qama means to stand up. People will be standing up in front of Allah until they get so tired. So Allah said, لَقَدْ كُنْتَ فِي غَفْلَةٍ مِّنْ هَذَا. You were heedless of that moment. فَكَشَفْنَا عَنْكَ غِطَاءَ. All that which blocks your vision, I was taking care of my parents. But now you're going to be held accountable for yourself. Your parents will run away from you. You will run away from them. My kids, where are they now? My siblings, my friends, my extended family, my folk. I was busy with my money. I was busy with my business. Right? These are the things that block your vision. Sometimes they are means. They're supposed to be means, right? But sometimes what do? We take them as the goals. And we forget about that the goal is to please Allah and we're going to meet with Him. Right? Allah said, فَكَشَفْنَا عَنْكَ غِطَاءَ. All these things that, that kept you busy, Allah's going to remove these, things that were covering your vision. فَبَصَرُكَ الْيَوْمَ حَدِيدٌ. Not had. Allah used the hyperbole form, which we call sigat mubalagha. Allah didn't say, this is why your vision today is sharp. He said hadid. It's even beyond sharp. When somebody wants to work as a pilot, they go for more eye tests to see their vision is like extremely sharp. Allah's saying your vision today is extremely sharp. It's not just sharp. And here's the cliffhanger. We said sa'iqun wa shaheed. Every one of us will be given a record, right? Somebody will be given his record and he will say, Ya Allah, أَلَمْ تُحَرِّمَ الظُّلْمَ عَلَى نَفْسِكَ. Didn't you say that injustice is forbidden even to yourself? Allah said, yes. He said, I just want to ask you for one thing. He said, go for it. He said, I don't want this record. Because he knows what's in the record. I want to be my own witness. Thinking that he can be a liar as he used to be in the dunya. He's going to change facts. He's not going to tell the truth. He said, I don't want this record. I'm going to bear witness against myself. Thinking he's in control. He's in control of his hands and his tongue and his eyes. No. He forgot that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Fatir, لِمَنِ الْمُلْكُ الْيَوْمِ. And number 16, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, who's in control today? Allah's in control every day. Right? But on that day, Allah's going to say, you had control in the dunya. Today, no. You have no control. So Allah said, you want to be your own witness? He said, yes. He said, you have it. Do you know what Allah's going to do after that? My time is over. We have to stop here, inshallah. So those who are willing to stay with us beyond, we're going to, inshallah, enjoy the rest of the story. Otherwise, we can go home, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لكم. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those to listen to the speech and follow the best of it. Allah guide all of our steps to Jannah. May Allah forgive all of our sins. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our salah. May Allah accept our dua. May Allah accept our ruku' and sujood. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our youth and our women and all of our ummah. May Allah make it easy for our brothers who are being tortured everywhere in the world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring us back to this deen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us steadfast in this deen until the day we're going to meet with Him, inshallah. Ameen, ameen. We're going to seal his mouth. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask all of his body to bear witness. So the hands will say, I took this which is not mine. I touched this which was haram. His eyes would say, I looked at this which was haram. His legs would say, I walked to that place which was haram. So he's going to be very mad that he can't talk. Because Allah sealed his mouth. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم. Allah said, we're going to seal their mouth and all of their organs will bear witness against them. So after everything is done, the seal will be taken away. The man is going to curse himself. And he's going to talk to his body saying, تَبًّا لَكُمْ. May Allah destroy you. I was trying to defend you. You are bearing witness against yourselves. You know, sometimes we think we can outsmart Allah. No, we cannot. Allah is the all fair. So even though he wanted to be his own witness, Allah said, you have it. Your hands will bear witness against you. So nobody can outsmart Allah. So the essence of what I wanted to share with you, because this surah is very beautiful, Surah Qaf, surah number 50. Do you know that the Prophet ﷺ sometimes, or many times, his khutbah will be nothing except the recitation of Surah Qaf. He just come to the minbar, recite Surah Qaf and come down. But the Sahaba were not like us. The Sahaba would understand everything, and if they don't understand, they will ask. Because this surah, subhanAllah, it gives you the story from the beginning to the end. It starts with like denying resurrection. And then Allah talks about this dunya and how Allah blessed us with so many things. And it takes you into a journey of Dar al-Akhirah. Death comes, and what happens after that, right? And Jannah will be calling for more people. And then Jahannam, and then Jannah. What's going to happen? Who's going to make it to Jannah? So it's like it's the story of your life. It's like a movie. Watching that movie every weekend is enough to recharge your battery. So go ahead and read the tafsir of Surah Qaf. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Very deep. SubhanAllah. So it's a very good reminder. You know, when I recite those ayats, SubhanAllah, they remind me of a situation. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was leading the salah, and he came to that ayah, يوم نقول لجهنم هل امتلأت وتقول هل من مزيد. On a day when we're going to say to hellfire, are you full? And Jahannam would say, I still have room. I still have room. So when the Prophet ﷺ was leading the salah, he came to this ayah, he couldn't continue, he was crying. And then he tried again, and he cried. And he tried a third time, and he cried, and at the end he made ruku'. He couldn't continue reciting. He just went to ruku'. And sometimes, subhanAllah, when the Imam is leading the salah, and you can feel that, like, you know, he's like almost crying, is how the Quran impacts you. Because if the Quran doesn't bring tears to your eyes, try to find your heart, because your heart is there. The only words that can move me into tears are the words of Allah. Allah, sometimes I go and visit friends, they're watching like a tragedy, a movie, and they're all crying. And I sit there, I just make fun of them. I say, these are images. They're crying because of images. So if the book of Allah is not moving to you to tears, what happened to your heart? And a movie brings tears to your eyes. Sometimes the lyrics of a song might bring tears to your eyes. But the words of Allah, the Prophet ﷺ is walking one day in the street, and he hears a woman just reciting, هل أتاك حديث الغاشية. And right away he interacts with نعم أتاني, نعم أتاني, نعم أتاني. And he started crying. Have you heard about the encompassing day where, you know, the punishment will be everywhere? It's going to be a very tough day. So once he heard the word Al-Ghashiyah, the very first ayah of Surah Al-Ghashiyah, he said, yes, I know what's going to happen in that day. And he started crying. Umar radiallahu anhu was riding his horse one day, and he heard somebody reciting an ayah. This is how they used to interact with the Quran. And he fell down. And he got sick for a month. And people, you know, used to go and visit him. And nobody knows why he's sick. Until his son Abdullah asked him, Dad, how are you feeling? Why are you sick? He said, son, one day I was like riding my horse and I heard somebody saying, Inna adaba rabbika lawaqi. Indeed, the punishment of your master is true. It's going to happen. He said, I couldn't just take it. But subhanAllah, we read the Quran. We listen to the Quran. Brothers, it's time to stop and say, when shall I interact with the Quran? When shall I understand what I'm reciting? When shall I be moved behind the Imam when he's reciting ayat that will shake mountains? When you read towards the end of Surah Al-Hashr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل. If we were to send down this Quran on a mountain, لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. You will find that this mountain will be humble, will be crumbling, will be cracking out of the fear of Allah. That's a mountain, brothers, that's made of rocks and iron. It crumbles, it cracks. What about the heart that's very soft? When you see a cat run over by a car, start shedding tears. So we need to go back to the book of Allah. Wallahi, to me, I would rather read an ayah, understand it, act upon it, better than reciting the whole Quran without understanding it. Spend 6 months to study Al-Fatiha, so you will enjoy your salah. Fatiha is very beautiful. Half of it is praise of Allah, the other half is dua. When you reflect on every word of Al-Fatiha, your salah will change. You will feel more khushu'ah. That's my message to you today. Go back, study the Quran. Go back, interact with the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, Uthman radiallahu anhu used to say, لو سلمت قلوبكم ما شبعتم من كلام ربكم. If you have sound hearts, you will never feel enough of the Quran when you read it and recite it. Abdullah ibn Umar used to say, كنا نتعلم العشر آيات. We used to learn 10 verses by 10 verses. فنعمل بها ونتعلمها فتعلمنا العلم والعمل معا. So we used to study 10 ayat by 10 ayat. We learn them, understand them, reflect on them, act upon them. So we had the knowledge and the application at the same time. That's what we do. I mean, they always say don't give a mic to a sheikh because he'll talk forever anyway. So feel free, inshallah, if you have questions. I don't know the setup. I was told that we stay on Sunday. So this is why I took advantage of it.